So, another episode. Today, I want to talk to you guys specifically about how I found my house. Action! Essentially, the week that I found my house, I had given up. So, the whole time I told you guys about the dilemma, I had been praying about it, asking friends their advice, what I should do, this and that. And I reached my limit. It was about June 13th, and I remember I started to look on my Zillow and like just completely take Miami out of the search and kind of just keep looking north and more north. I went from Fort Lauderdale, got to Orlando, St. Pete, Ocala, Port St. Lucie. I was looking at places where like the population of people that probably look and think like me were like non-existent. But I was like, you know what? Maybe what I need to do is focus on the house, be in the house, creating things, right? Writing the books that I want to write, making the art I want to make. And maybe that will be my pathway out of this, like my way of finally overcoming this crazy housing market. Because if I stay in one place and I put my mind to it, I'm going to work and I'm going to earn more money. And then maybe my budget for the house will change, something like that. I was just thinking all of these things. And so on June 13th, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, Miami, you're done. And so I remember I was talking to one of my friends that recently bought a pre-construction house in the Orlando area, and she was telling me how that was the best thing for her and her husband and how happy she is and how nice her house is. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm done trying to make Miami work. And I started texting my best friend some listings that I was seeing in like Orlando of like beautiful 12-acre properties, renovated, like really nice. Some, not a lot of Spanish style houses, because I feel like Spanish style, you see more of that Mediterranean, Spaniard and like European influence more in South Miami and South Florida, versus more of the more like barn farmhouse colonial looking vibes that you get more north. And so I was like, you know what, but like with 12 acres I could build like 13 houses, so it's all good. And I had made peace with it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not stuck on Miami. I actually had my chart read. What is it called? It's basically an astrologer that can look at the points on the map of the time that you were born and all of the planets and where they were intersecting, and tell you which areas and cities will be strengths for you and weaknesses, and in what areas. So in love, in business, in finance, like all of those things. And what she had told me was that Miami, I have a lot of paths crossing through Miami, some working for me, some working against me. So the farther that I moved out of that area where all of this activity was happening, I would have a more balanced chill, like more balanced, less turbulent things happening. Like, you know, she was saying that Miami has really high highs for me, but also really low lows. I took what she said, and that didn't make me say like, oh, well, she says that I'll be successful in Barcelona, so I'm gonna pack up my stuff and move to Barcelona. I was waiting for God, and I had the reading, and I talked to God, and I said, hey, like, if that's where you want me, I want to be there. So if you want me there, I'm open, I'll go. But you are gonna have to show me, because I am done getting in my own way of like not listening to my intuition and not listening to the tools that God has given me and trying to do things the hard way on my own. So I was done with it. I had like 5 realtors at that time. Why did I have five realtors? One of them I sought out myself, and that's my girl, Maritza. She was with me from the beginning to the end, and she's actually who I close with. I had a second lady who I really wanted a house in the design district. They had a lot of what I was looking for, a lot of 1920s Spanish style homes, but during the pandemic, those houses went from being like an undesirable neighborhood to being $1 million to $2 million properties, and like I just couldn't do it. But when I called her about one property, we started talking. She found out that I was an artist. Her brother manages artists, so she got really excited, and she started to get really kind of like invested in helping me find my dream home. And she said she understood me as a creative and what I wanted and this and that. So I was working with her in the sense that like she would send me things from time to time, and we didn't really, no, I think we spent like one day together where, you know, I went to her office and she talked to me about things, and she took me to see a house. And then after that, it's life, you know, it's a lot of, we had a lot of like just meetings that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. And so naturally, eventually I just lose faith in that person, and I was just like, okay. And then she started sending me a lot of listings that were over my budget. Like she knew my budget, she knew my pre-approval, and she was still sending me like homes that were like $1.8 million. And I was like, thank you for reminding me what I could have if I had more money, but I cannot buy this. So there was that. And then 2 realtors came from my mom, like, or my family basically. So like friends of either my dad's or my mom's that heard that I was looking and wanted to help. And you know, everyone tells you the same thing, like, oh, you haven't found anything yet because of your realtor, like you need XYZ. And I was just like, whatever, like this is what I'm looking for. If you happen to come across something before it goes on the market, like let me know. But I knew that they were all BSing me, and they're all trying to like sell you on using them, because they would do literally nothing. They set up the search on the MLS and it would send me automatic updates. And so I was getting literally the same houses every day from all of these realtors that claimed that they had been doing it for so long and they know how to do it, and the other people I'm working with don't know how to do it, so I need to work with them. And it was just ridiculous. So I got tired of that. So there was one that kept calling and kept putting me in group chats with my mom, and my mom like if she couldn't get in touch with me, she was asking my mom. And it's not fair to do that, because my mom has her own stuff going on, and I didn't like that because we're supposed to be communicating. So I told her once, hey, like I don't want to bother my mom with this, like you can contact me directly, take her out of the group chat. And the lady kept contacting my mom. So when I got to the point where I was fed up looking, like I had just had another offer rejected, and then I had an offer that was rejected fall through, and they tried to make me the automatic backup offer. And when that happened, I knew that I didn't want that house. Like it was mine if I said yes. And I just had this like pit in my gut where I was like, I don't see myself in this house. It's a very nice house. It was updated. It was gorgeous. But it just like, it wasn't me. And it like, it just wasn't like, it's so weird how it happens, because I could have changed things about the house to make it mine. And I had no desire to do that. And when I found my house, it's in a much worse condition than this house was. But like, I see myself in it for so many reasons. And I think that's really interesting, because it's not that my house is so much better than this house. It's better than that house subjectively. Like, in my opinion, when I look at it, I see more of the things that gets me excited than I did in the other house. But someone else that's looking for more modern touches, who knows, whatever they're looking for, they'll be like, you're crazy. Like, why wouldn't you take this house? Like, look at that kitchen. And I think that's cool. But anyways, so yeah, so I got to my limit. And so I just started telling them that I wasn't looking anymore. I was like, I'm not looking anymore. Like, it's fine. I'm like traveling right now and it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to make it work. It's not working. I'm going to just table it for now. And I meant that. Aside from the fact that I was still going to try to buy a property like outside of Miami, like I was done looking in Miami. And so on that very day, June 13th, I got an email later that night from my realtor, Maritza, and it was something she sent me like she sent me. So it wasn't an automatic update from my MLS. It was something that she came across and she sent it to me and she was like, what do you think about this house? And so from the moment that I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, I love it. And she was like, are you sure? Like, check out the address and let me know. And so it was a little farther than the radius that like we had set. So I went to go see it. I drove by it with one of my nieces and my nephew. And we were all like, okay, like we like this. This is cute. This neighborhood is cute. Okay. And I was like, yes, schedule a walkthrough. So we scheduled the walkthrough for, I think, I had something to do the next day. And then the day after that, the realtor couldn't come. So we scheduled the walkthrough for the day after that. I believe it was a Friday. So I went to see the house, and I'll show you guys that first walkthrough of the house. How long has this one been on the market?
This one just came on the market 2 weeks ago. And I know one nearby closed.
If there's a flood, they're in trouble.
Ooh. Well, if it helps, I'll try to negotiate it into the deal for you.
Oh yeah, good job.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is it.
Okay, so you said the primary was originally 2 bedrooms. That's why it still shows up as.
Ooh, I like it. I like this.
I like it. You know, but from
Okay. Okay.
yeah, he said something about it. Homey, very homey.
Yeah, this is very cute. I like this one right now. Front yard. Fireplace. Ooh.
You know, we come and they clean up anything, but unless they clean people, it's very nice. No, even though he had junk, he could have.
Excuse me, excuse me.
Okay, what are you? What, you know that thing? I said, what's going on here?
Grandma, excuse me. This
Look
for
at
Papa.
something.
This for Papa. Yeah, yeah.
No, look at something. You're not observing. You're in the cupboard. This must be that thing. It's nice though.
It would definitely change.
What's that?
What's this?
Oh, so this does have a bathroom. Okay, so this is a master bath, technically.
It's still cute.
Oh no.
It smells good in here.
You never see our alarm? It's nice. I like it for one. You can't have nobody else to eat it. A lot of work for the floor.
It's only 2 bedrooms? 2 bedrooms?
Where's the other bedroom? Like mom's. My mom only have 1 bathroom.
Alright guys, so this room, I think the wall was probably right here, was originally 2 rooms. They expanded it to have a larger master. So that's why it shows like it's a 3-2.
Oh,
but
the
it's
bathroom there too.
a 2-2. Instructions start Saturday. I'm hosting an open house.
He said you could have that thing outside too, remember? I heard him tell him. Try it in the top one. Okay.
Yeah, I had a key and a half. Look.
Oh my gosh.
So this could also be your studio. But there's not a lot of light.
Listen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jada.
So technically there is a 3rd room.
The bathroom
Yeah,
and shower.
this could be a guest room. It smells terrible.
It smells terrible.
I don't know what's going on.
As you can see, like my family, I was with my mom and my nieces and my nephew. Well, not my nephew. My nephew was at baseball with my dad, but my mom and the girls, they love the spot. They would not leave the Florida room. And we saw another house right before it that was same neighborhood, really nice, bigger backyard, more updated, and they were like ready to go. Like when we went in there, they were like, let's go. They were like, it's cute, let's go. Like no one wanted to stay and chill and get comfortable. I think it was very boxy and modern and like just didn't fit the cultural richness of that neighborhood. Whereas this house has it's very lush. There's a lot of trees. You know, the Florida room is gonna be like a focal point, I feel like, in that house, because that's where I want everyone to come, kick their feet up, get comfortable. And so it was just like a no-brainer. So the house had been on the market for 2 weeks, which is kind of a scary place to be in, because it's not brand new to the market, but it's new enough that, like, you never know. Like, they could have put the house on the market 2 weeks ago and only started showing it a couple days, you know, like I just didn't know. So I offered at asking, and my, you know, I was like, yeah, like, I want to put the offer in. And the offer was accepted that same night. So after all these months of looking and trying to outbid people and offering more and this and that, it's like on the spot, I wanted it, and it was essentially mine. It took a couple hours to get the official acceptance, but it was very, like, smooth. The house itself had all of the things that I really, really wanted. I had been singing since the beginning that I wanted a 1920s Spanish style home, at least 75 square foot lot, and just room to grow, and just all of the things. So the lot is almost 10,000 square feet, which is more than I asked for. The house was built in 1928, making it a 1920s home. And the construction style is Spanish Mediterranean. So in the end, I got the things that I wanted. And also the area is very special to me. I think that is so important, to know what it is that is important to you when you're looking for a home, because the process to me is very scary and it's very intimidating, especially if you've never done it before, and especially if you're not coming from a lot of money that you have like cushion and backup and things like that. I think that I would have easily second guessed myself or given up if it wasn't for these little nudges from God and from the universe that, like, this is what you asked for and I'm delivering it to you, you know? So the house wasn't perfect. The landscaping, terrible. The driveway, terrible. It was 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. When I toured the place, it ended up being 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, because the efficiency was created illegally and they had to tear it down before. They created an efficiency in the carport, and it was illegally done, like the plumbing, so they had to tear it out before we could pass inspection for me to move in. So it definitely wasn't perfect, and there were definitely things that came up, like just little things I'll get into more, like structurally, and things that I have to fix. But it was very clearly the place for me right now, based on what I had been dreaming of and what let's talk manifesting. Okay, so this is an illustration that I started drawing back in January, when I was imagining myself in a space and what I wanted. And what I wanted was a Florida room, and I drew it imagining Spanish style tiles and imagining these beautiful arched windows. And so I want you guys to take a look at the entryway of the house. Seven months later, this is what I ended up finding. So you can't tell me God isn't real. You cannot tell me the universe is not hearing all of your desires, all of your wishes, all of your dreams, and it's going to be delivered in a way that you can handle it. Because there was another house that I fell in love with. It was listed for $800K. I'll show you the house. I'll just show you the house. All right, so I should have done a better job of documenting this journey, but I guess this is a sign that this is the first house I'm excited about. So I'm on my way to see what I hope will be my future home, the future incubator of my dreams. Well, not incubator, because you want to let your dreams out and flourish. You don't want to keep them in, but it will be the place that beautiful things are built and formed. So I have only seen it, in pictures, but so far, like, I have been praying and manifesting a 1920s Spanish style home with a good lot size, a good location. It definitely does feel like significant and like I'm being pulled to this area, so much so that I'm willing to go way over my budget, my ideal budget, not my like technical budget. So I qualify for this home, but I was trying to be conservative and get something a little cheaper for my first house. But I've been going back and forth on whether or not I should be looking for a forever home or just like a temporary thing, and this feels more like a forever home. And so it's like more than I was anticipating, but like nothing else was cutting it. Everything is either just not right in some way, like not the right area, not the right size, not the right energy. So I am excited at the prospects of it. So I'm on the street now. Okay, so this is the front of the house. So the house was listed at $800K, took a cash offer for $750. And I was heartbroken. I stalked that house like you would stalk I don't even stalk ex-boyfriends the way that I was stalking that house, waiting for them to close to see like how much I lost it for, like how much they ended up selling it for, or to see if the deal would fall through. And that was the most heartbreaking experience of my life. Now, funny enough, the house looks bigger, and I feel like visually from the outside, just it being 2 stories and the way that it's distributed, it looks more like the ideal house I pictured in my head, because I think just naturally a 2-story house just feels bigger, more luxurious. But technically my house is sitting on a lot that is twice as big, and this house had 2 apartment buildings. It's next to a multifamily home and next to an apartment complex where the people's balcony overlooks the pool, which it also had a pool that I didn't like, which I love. I want a pool, but it had this giant pool that the lot is already 5,000 square feet, and the pool probably took up like 3,000 square feet. Like, it's a ridiculously massive pool that I was considering like closing so that I could have proper backyard space, but it was gonna be a nightmare as far as like the things that I said were really important to me, like my art studio, like just different things I was gonna have to sacrifice, because there's just no more room to work with outside. And I was thinking about like bringing the art studio inside, but then I wanted higher roof. It would have been a mess. And what I also realized was that at $810,000, I would have had to give every single thing that I have just to get in the house. And then I would have had no money for renovations, and I would have had no money to really personalize the house the way that I wanted to. Because there's so many things and expenses that have come up like throughout the process that you're thinking in your head, okay, I can afford this, I can put this much down, I can do this, and then boom, something comes up. So God knew more and God knew better than me what I could handle and what I could afford. And also the house was like 4 bedrooms. I hope to have a family one day, but there's no reason that as a single woman, I need to be looking for a house anticipating what the next 10 years of my life is going to look like. And so that's ultimately like what it came down to. So yeah, so in conclusion, I saw the house for the first time June 16th. I made an offer on June 16th. I got accepted on June 16th. And on Monday, which would have been the 19th, when they kind of like laid out the process for me, they anticipated that my closing day would be July 21st. And we made it. We did it in 30 days and I closed July 21st. And so now the fun part begins of like really taking this home and turning it into, I don't even want to say, I'm not putting pressure on this house to be my dream house, but I want to allow my imagination to play, and I want to create a home for myself and a home for my family. So depending on what we all decide to do, if I ever do decide to leave Miami or whatever, I am not really interested in Airbnb-ing. I'm not really interested in home sharing. But I would like to keep some property that I always know is there. My siblings always can come to just like, I think that's important. And we don't have enough of that. And so it's important to me as like an Afro-Latina, as a first generation. My mom's from the Bahamas. Her mom's from Jamaica. Her mom bought a house in Miami. When she moved here, she sold it when she started getting older, and I always regret the fact that like she sold that house because of what it could have, like, just kind of like just keeping it in the family, like what it means and the way that the property value would have increased by now. Like, I don't think it was worth it at the time. It definitely might have seemed like it, but the property is definitely worth more than whatever she walked away with at that time. And the same thing for my abuelos, even though my Cuban grandparents also own a home. That is like a little bit more complicated, but like the home that they spent years building is not theirs today, technically. And that is, I don't want to see that continue in my family. Like, I hope that as we all get to be a certain age, like we have places that we can live and we can enjoy stress-free. And so I'm taking on a big journey by myself and a big responsibility by myself. But the reason is for that long-term peace and that long-term kind of like, why am I stuck? For that long-term stability of what home ownership can bring, because it brings, the world is fluctuating, cost, everything is fluctuating. So it is not a for sure simple thing that like I feel people tried to make me think when I was younger. But I think it does offer at least some safety and security of not having to deal with landlords, not having to feel displaced. Like, I needed roots, and that was something that I kept saying throughout this process, is that I desire roots. I desire to plant myself somewhere and allow myself the time to grow and evolve. And I wasn't having that renting. And so I'm really, really glad that I can start to create those roots and see where it takes me and see where it takes my family.